of the host club, the Balmain Tigers. We'll have these fellows on our screens, in fact, very shortly when they play the North Sydney club at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Umbrellas up. Referee in the middle, Giles O'Donnell. Supporters. Some of these scenes very reminiscent of the north of England, in fact. Parramatta, left to right across your screen. Kick-off taken by Steve Ella. And it's Gary Jack giving it to Mark Lawson now. Lawson taken in the first tackle. Mayers, Stewart and Mosley. That's David Brooks in the 10 jumper. That could well bring a penalty. It has. It's against Don Duffy. Brooks was endeavouring to get to his feet, and Duffy actually has put him back on the seat of his pants. Here's the incident as Brooks was trying to get up. Duffy put him back. And it's Gary Bridge taking the touch finder. And that's a bad kick. And coming away with it is Muggleton, who I guess will try and make every opportunity out of this first grade appearance today. How do you see it going, Billy Anderson?
Well, Parramatta have a lot of players who must be battle weary, and they could suffer a letdown after their win over Manly last week. Balmain are on a high, and their enthusiasm will make the Eels struggle all the way.
To the left, Taylor. Mayers. Hitting it up hard. Roach was waiting for him. Low, making the initial tackle was David Brooks. Blindside for Parramatta to take it ahead by Muggleton. And all this pressure on the black and golds has been created through Gary Bridge failing to find touch. Fifth tackle, they'll chance the bomb. It's with Taylor. And it's high and not a bad kick. Here's Gary Jack flying. Oh, Ella's got the ball. He's lost it behind him. I wouldn't say that he lost it behind him. In fact, he's been under the order of Coach Money to get rid of it, do something with it on the last, because that was the turnover, as you saw indicated. Lower grade results 18-10 thirds to Parramatta, reserves 22-18 to Balmain. Yes, just that little passage of play, very much rugby union stuff, wasn't it? Kerry Hemsley now, just inside the 22. Ron Quinn giving him a bit of a rough up. I don't know that that would be a wise move for Quinn. He's probably about half as big as Hemsley. Play with Pearce inside his 22. Roach is going to try and hit it up. Oh, head-on tackle by Mark Lowry. That was a gem of a tackle. That could well be placed in the coaching manual. A clearing kick by Gary Jack. He took the shoulder of Muggleton. Nothing wrong with it. He's kicked it to Eric Growth, and Growth is up to the halfway, the big man, and he's parcelled up there by David French. You may have noticed on the screen a guest commentator with us today, Peter Sterling, the injured Parramatta half. And it would seem, Pete, that the Eels are going to really do it tough here today.
Well, I think a little bit. The players coming in will certainly do the job, but realistically it is Balmain's best chance to beat us here, but I think we can rise to the occasion.
Ken Stewart ducking out in 13 jumper, picked up by Don Duffy in the 9, and that's tackle number 5 for the Eels, so they will probably be putting the midfield bomb about, and there goes the kick by Taylor. In fact, he's set it down deep into the corner where French is, and this is David French, number 5. Tackled enthusiastically by the Parramatta players. In fact, it was Kenny and Quinn up there. This is Gary Bridge, and driving in was Mosley in the number 12. Gary Jack trying to clear it. Fast man getting out of dummy half. And now it's Mike Schofield hitting back to the blind. And 4 Parramatta players going in. Stewart, Quinn, Mosley copped a hit in the eye, and Ella was the other tackler. Brooks goes to the 22, and they're on 5 tackles now, Balmain. Neil Whittaker trying to get the kick in to grab across the touchline. That's knocked backwards, says the referee. And it's Growth standing and getting it back to Dave Lydiard. Across the ground goes Lydiard, trying to split through to the halfway. And he was tackled by David Brooks. To the left now for Ron Quinn, to Mark Laurie to give to Muggleton. And Muggleton tackled in centre ground. Rain teaming down as Stewart is shepherded, and it's a penalty to Balmain. Ken Stewart, it was an accidental shepherd on his part. He certainly didn't run behind one of his own players. One of his own players just happened to get there, obstructing the defence, and the Tigers get another penalty. Gary Bridge not making any mistake this time, and for the first time in the match, Balmain see the Parramatta half. French. Steve Martin. Brooks tackled by Taylor. Lane, Pearce. Kenny and Quinn making the tackle. Now through Lane to Martin. Hemsley out wide. This rain coming at this time, Bill, would probably be a further disadvantage to the Eels, who I would think would be wanting to play it out around Kenny and Ella.
Yes, it would be. Both of these sides have got good forward defence, and if there's a weakness with both Balmain and Parramatta, it's their backline defence. The weather's going to stifle that, and so kicking's going to play a really big part in this match. I think the fact that Steve Martin's come into the Balmain side and their centre Simon Bird's out, really under these conditions is going to work to their advantage, because Martin has such a good kicking game.
Steve Martin with a little chip ahead, regathered, then he offloaded, but it went forward. And it's a scrum win for Parramatta, and Taylor goes to a very wide blind. And the dummy half for him is Mayers, going for a dummy half kill. In fact, he's made 10 metres. He went up hard, and then he was hit and driven by Whittaker, Roach and Brooks. Taylor sees what he thinks is an opening, but it's closed quickly by Hemsley. And Brooks again was in the tackle. He's already figured in a lot of the defence as Ella gets a kick in. That was charged down by a Balmain player. It's with Hemsley, and he throws a ball down to Brooks. Brooks's pass goes to Lane. Lane is tackled by Ella. Players near the halfway. Wide ball for Pearce. A cutout pass to Gary Jack. Ooh, Stewart over the top and Mayers around the middle. And Gary Jack plays it back to Davidson. And that's Mike Schofield in the 9. Halfway line, just on the right of your screen, as it spins across through Lane again, and on to Steve Martin playing in number 3. Oh, beautiful ball by Martin to Pearce. Pearce losing his footing, and that just jinked the attack for the Parramatta defence to come up and take Davidson in defence. Quick passing, the stretch of the ball, out to Gary Jack, now to French, in goes Growth, low, Mayers high, and that's 5 gone for the Tigers. There was a beautiful ball by Stevie Martin, Bill Anderson.
Well, it was a good ball by Martin, but Paul Taylor was the player who was at fault there. He moved up too quickly. That allowed the ball to be released in the tackle and created the hole. But, you know, Taylor's a good defensive player, and he can handle a half-back spot, no problems, but he's got to move up in a line rather than one out.
That was a tremendous hit then by Hemsley on Quinn. This is Stewart now. Right on the halfway and being manhandled and pushed back by Roach and Brooks again. Oh, he's getting through some defence, David. It's out with Mayers now. Down by Schofield and Bridge, and the penalty goes to Parramatta. And I think that's their first, is it? That's the first penalty for the Eels against that man, Michael Schofield, for not getting off the player tackled. No score. You're watching the NEC Big Game. Steve Ella. It's a good kick by Ella. finding it about 25 metres out. In fact, the referee, I think, has called for a new whistle. I was just looking at the touch judge waving a new whistle at Giles O'Donnell, saying, do you want it now? As it goes out to the second pivot and then the run around, and here's Kenny being driven. Parramatta putting on one of their set plays, and it was pretty obvious that Frank Stanton knew what was coming. Oh, gee, Lydiard was hit hard. The ball down to Pearce, tackled by Mosley. Play back inside the Balmain 22. Coming away with it, Gary Bridge from dummy half. Across the ground goes Whittaker. Still no gain in ground for the Tigers. They're back inside the 22 line. Not much breeze to talk about. In fact, it's windless here at Leichhardt. Here's a break, but it's being called back. Again, the ball going forward.
There's not much breeze, but Balmain is still waiting far too long to kick the ball out of their own quarter. They're trying to ruck the ball there, and the Parramatta defence holds too well in the middle for that. Balmain would be well advised to kick the ball on the early tackles.
Taylor working the scrum. Parramatta ball, clean heel, but he's given the penalty to Balmain. And he's got Taylor for an incorrect feed. I have asked the question before. I might as well ask it of Pete Sterling, seeing that he's regarded as the world's #1 half. I don't realise, I can't quite comprehend why some halfbacks deliberately feed to the second row when you've got the loose head and the feed. Do you need any more help?
No, Ray. I think that you tend to feed the ball the same place all the time, and sometimes you get pinged, other times you don't. Really, the 2 out of 10 times you do get pinged, it's worthwhile the other 8 times. So, that's just the way the scrum goes. If you feed the ball, you should win it.
So it's with Hemsley now, and now across on a good pass by Lane to Schofield, now to Brooks, and he's about 30 metres out as the ball is wrapped to the blind for Roach to give to Pearce, and Pearce is tackled. It was a nasty ball, but he took it well and took the tackle. And the Tigers are now back on the attack firmly, and good swift passing out along the back line. Oh, that was an accidental dummy then by Gary Bridge. It worked nicely. And there's a Balmain player injured. Davidson is clutching at an ankle. Play is about 30 metres out through the whiz kid. Martin to Lane, now to Gary Jack, and Jack is taken high by Stewart, low by Kenny. It's with Whittaker. Now Martin. He's a little general, this fellow. Gross got it covered. Oh! Eric getting up high. The crowd loving it. Lydiard. He'll be looking for a big game today. Lydiard, of course, injury put him on the bench, and Neil Hunt grabbed back what was his spot, and he's not about to relinquish it, but Lydiard will take this opportunity along with Muggleton today to really impress Coach Money. Good hit, good hit.
Lydiard's a very good working player. We can see him now. He's around the ruck, and they're the things he's good at. He backs up well. If anyone makes a break, he's prepared to stay there. He's not a lazy fullback, one that just tries to shine. He's prepared to do the hard work as well.
Kick by Paul Mayers, and that's a nice kick by the big man. I'm just wondering whether it was a late tackle on him. No, it's been allowed to go according to the touch. Here's the whistle changeover now by the referee O'Donnell. He's been given that new blower by the touch judge, Ian McCall. Not much of him, this ref. He's smaller than the halfback. And Lane is one of the smaller. As it goes across, oh, that's just trying to do too much too soon, although it might pay off for them. Kenny out to Ella. Ella's telling him to go inside, but Ella's parcelled up by Bridge and by Lane, and this is Lydiard. Stewart, Roach getting in there. Hemsley, Roach and Pearce, they've made some heavy hits. Taylor's gone without it. He's cleaned it up, though. It'll be a knock-on and a scrum. Not a bad crowd here under the conditions prevailing in Sydney this afternoon. Scrum win to the Tigers. Neat tackle by Mark Laurie, a copybook lock-forward tackle. Through Gary Jack, it's out with Davidson. He's not going anywhere, and he's given the penalty now. He was held bottom and top. And I take it that O'Donnell had said, get off him, leave him alone, and Parramatta persisted. French. Stewart accepting him. Stewart gets through a lot of tackles. Roach. Laurie low. Blindside for Lane. Martin, the dummy, the run round, the hit back inside for Jack. One of many moves that Frank Stanton has. Martin. Brooks. Martin playing his first game back in Australia. And he already has shown that he's slotted very quickly into the plays that Balmain have, and there is a wide variety of them. Here he is now, putting the kick down straight to Dave Lydiard. Lydiard never taking his eyes off the ball, and now taking it back to the quarter line. Gross might run it himself. Hemsley low. And there's been an illegality in there. He's got Davidson. He's telling him, keep them down. So the Blue and Golds get the penalty as you watch the NEC replay of the incident involving the centre three-quarter, John Davidson and Eric Groth. $15 gone. Mosley, man of the match, in our opinion, last Sunday. Taylor, Stewart, Laurie, Mayers, he's put it down. Balmain have cleaned it up. Easy ball to come up with. Was that an example of a move gone wrong, Peter Sterling, or was it just that Paul didn't have his eyes on it?
I think Paul took his eyes off it a little bit. It's certainly important in this type of conditions that we have better ball control than what we have started off with.
Pete, under these conditions, really, you know, your fancy tap plays are likely not to work. You might be better just to hit it up for a couple of tackles.
Well, that's right. I think you've got to take the yards, and we're not doing that at the moment.
Knock on against Balmain. They were doing some clever work. Scrum just on the Balmain side of halfway. 2-1 the scrums to Balmain. 4-2 the penalties to Balmain. This scrum has been set, but a penalty to Balmain.
And that was a very good push by the Balmain 6, and they were able to force Parramatta down.
Who was it that said to win a rugby league grand final these days you need 2 first-grade sides? Looking at this Parramatta pack, there's only one player really, and I'm talking about all players being available, and that'd be Paul Mayers probably, who would be guaranteed of a spot there in a normal Parramatta team. That big fellow. This is Mark Lawson. Gary Bridge.
Well, Balmain are setting for something, and I think the man here that'll do all the danger will be Steve Martin. He's the general at the moment in the Balmain pack, and he's doing a lot of organising of their play.
Roach. Taylor around the legs with Quinn. Parramatta backs to the wall job at the moment. Beautiful ball. Davidson. Short of the line and held by Groth and Ella. Gary Jack. Last tackle, Martin, that's not a good kick. It's gone back behind Gary Bridge. And he was a sitting duck for Muggleton and Mayers. That'll be the turnover. Parramatta scrambling in there, trying to get a quick play the ball. This is what they like to do. Get away with a quick play the ball on the turnover.
Well, that was good play by Parramatta. They tidied up what was a poor kick by Steve Martin very well, and then they looked to attack from their own quarter, and that is the sign of a confident team.
Mosley scampering out of dummy half. An easy 10 metres. Now to Taylor. Taylor's kick between the fullback and the winger. It won't go into touch. And Jack asks French to take it away. Parramatta's ring of defence. That was a good chase by Parramatta.
Yeah, particularly Paul Taylor. He kicked the ball and he was the first man down to make the tackle.
Gary Jack, he's lost it. Parramatta with a chance to come up with it. Mayers has it.
You can see there the value of a kicking game on a wet day. They've kicked the ball 60 metres, come up with a good chase. Balmain have forced the fumble, and that puts Parramatta back on the attack again.
Lydia. Mosley. Almost like a robot. It's as if Moni has said to him, you just get the ball out of dummy half and kill it. Ooh, Stewart took on Michael Schofield, and Schofield hit him with a beaut head-on tackle. Taylor, little chip, sending Quinn ahead. Nicely fielded by French. Balmain now. About 18 metres out from their own line. Back to Gary Jack. And around the legs is Mosley. Over the top, Stewart. Let's update the scoreline for you. So there it is. 0-0, Balmain and Parramatta. Rain really teeming down now. As Steve Martin looks for that hole. That elusive gap that both sides have been prizing for. 20 minutes gone in the match. Lawson. Gary Jack. Lydiard has a look. Chased by Pearce. Ooh, dangerous ball. Schofield inside. Whittaker. Gross across from his right flank to pick him up on the left.
And again, that's the value of a kicking game in wet weather. They've got good advantage and the ball back, Balmain.
Balmain trying to stretch it to the left. They've got the overlap out there. Quinn's coming across in cover. Takes French. And there's Neil Hunt from his left wing making the tackle on the right. Short ball from Jack to Brooks. He just lost that ball, but it was on the blind side of the referee. Lane. Hemsley, the dummy on the run round. Switching it back to the blind, but put down by Hemsley. Picked up by Martin. Gary Jack. Kick getting over towards Eric Groth's wing. Groth now comes to French. Beats him. Goes up the touchline. 25 metres out from his line. Run around for Lydiard on Quinn. As tight as a bank vault, this one. Plenty happening, but nothing on the scoreboard. Mosley. That's Mark Laurie. Muggleton. That'll go very close to that touchline. He's got it. Good kick by Muggleton. He needs something like that to happen in his rugby league life. Something to go right for him. 15 out from the line. There's the head on. Lane. Picked off quickly by the loose head second rower and the lock. There's Junior Pearce with it now. Lane. Pearce is a bit groggy. No, I think he's just picking a mud pie out of his eye. It's back with Martin. Lydiard, oh gee, this is a spectacular take. Swerving over towards Ella and Hunt. Picked off by Bridge.
Well, that's where Lydiard's at his best. He's a tremendous broken field runner, and if the defensive line doesn't come up as one, he can pick his way through that line and make plenty of gaps.
Neil Hunt trying to do the double shuffle before he hits back to the inside. Here he is again, Hunt. And here's Taylor. Something's got to give here shortly. Blindside to Quinn. Round the corner past to Muggleton was a beaut ball put down by Muggleton, picked up by Mosley, swept out to Ella, but he's ruled a knock-off. incorrect feed against the Balmain half lane. And this will give Parramatta a very strong attacking opportunity. Kenny's galloping over.
Well, the longer this game goes, the more one would swing towards Parramatta. They've got very good kickers in the match. They're a tremendous wet weather team, and Steve Ella, who's taking this line kick now, is the best wet weather football that I've ever seen, and the wetter it gets here, the more Steve's going to come into the match.
Is anybody absolutely sure who is the Parramatta captain? They say Taylor, but I was just watching Brett Kenny doing plenty of talking.
There are 13 captains out there. Parramatta have got good players, and you don't need a captain when you've got good players.
Anyway, you can be sure that Kenny's got something to do with what's on at the moment. This is Mark Laurie taking it back to the blind. Mosley coming open side. 10 metres out from the Balmain line. Where's Kenny? Mayers is out very wide, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very wide. Here's Kenny. There's Mayers. He's been cut out. Ella put it on the boot. So did Kenny. The referee's going to recall it. He's playing the advantage at the moment. It'll be a Balmain play the ball. Mayers was out between the outside centre and the wing three-quarter. They set it up with two plays for that decoy run by Mayers, really. There's a ball coughed up by the Tigers, picked up by Mayers, and Parramatta will probably try and do something with it quickly, being the first tackle. Mayers stepping out of 1 to the 22, and Taylor's into dummy half as the rain continues to tumble down. To the blind, Quinn. Kenny's with him, gives him a good ball. Kenny's very close to the line, 5 metres out. Dummy half for him as Growth. He sweeps it out to Taylor. It's Mosley's knocked on.
Peter Sterling, Parramatta are a great wet weather side. Is it something that you train for? Do you ever get a wet ball at practice and actually work on conditions and tactics as if it was wet?
Well, I think we're very aware in the wet that you have to change your game plan a little bit, shorten the passes up, be very strong in defence. I'm a little bit disappointed in our ball control today. I think that we're coughing up far too much ball, and that's something that we'll have to stop very shortly.
Differential penalty to Parramatta. He got the Balmain pack for collapsing. I've got a feeling Parramatta would have been just as happy if Giles O'Donnell had have allowed play to go on, because 6 players were on the ground in black and gold jumpers, that it would have been a much more advantageous play for Parramatta to let it go. Steve Ella finding the line now, so the tap will be taken by Mosley. 2 pivots, Taylor and Stewart, and it's hit back to the blind. That's a beautiful tackle by Kerry Hemsley on Mark Laurie. Mosley takes it back for a second to the blind. Stewart is running blindside to as a decoy. Mark Laurie losing his footing, and now they're stretched out very wide with Mayers out again very, very wide, and Quinn has lost it. So all of that work for nothing. In fact, I think I just saw Stan Jerd, who's standing out on our camera platform, throw both his crutches away. So frustrated I think the man is. The rain now probably at its heaviest. Lane, Mosley around the legs. 5 have gone for Balmain. Steve Martin gets the kick in. It's going straight to Eric Growth. And French is there to take Growth, but the run around for Lydiard. Getting across the ground, looking for a hole.
There are 30 minutes gone in this game and still no points on the board to either side. It may well be that the first scorer is going to be the one that will win it, and Parramatta have done all the attacking up to this stage.
Beautiful pass by Quinn. This is Mayers. He's lost it. Jack, Davidson, Bridge. Turned it inside. Kenny's got it coming downfield after missing a tackle.
A lot of the drop balls and the one by Parramatta, which was quickly followed by the one by Balmain, are unforced errors. They're thrown by players that are in positions not to throw passes. They should be just dying with the ball in the tackle and look to attack on the later tackles in the tackle count.
This is Lydiard. Well, Mosley has shown them a few times that there's about 5 or 6 metres to be gained, and it's free territory from dummy half. I'm surprised they're not using more dummy half runs.
Yeah, that's the place to work under these conditions.
Mosley's a dummy half again now. And there's Steve Ella putting it down. It's in the hands of Schofield. Bridge, Martin. Claps on a bit of speed. Lawson. Cut down by Taylor. 10 metres the Balmain side of the halfway. Stevie Martin would be thinking that he's back where he just came from, I would think. Wayne Pearce. Well, somebody's going to have to put him down shortly. There's a knock on. He's going to play the advantage. Did he blow the whistle? No, he's played the advantage. Good refereeing by O'Donnell.
It might be exciting for the crowd to see the ball go through 10 or 12 sets of hands here, and then an error results. But if you're a coach or if you're on the team that makes that error, it's just not worth it. You've got to get the ball upfield, so you've either got to kick it upfield or you've got to run with it upfield. Passing isn't the order of the game in your own half in the wet.
Mosley. A couple of big lads that he decided to try and burrow through. Hemsley and Roach. Muggleton. Put them together, you've got one heck of a big tiger. We're on the halfway line. Mears has put it down. Well, I reckon both these coaches will get them in at half-time, and it'll be a pretty simple explanation of what's gone wrong.
Tackle for 6, kick it downfield, and then hold it for 6.
This is a very important time for both sides, the last 10 minutes of the half. We recognise it as a danger period.
French, picked up by Lydia. Guest commentator with us today, Peter Sterling. Good run by Brooks. Hard and straight. Put down by Schofield. Advantage rule applies. Parramatta decide to spin it quickly. Kenny, he's dangerous. Kenny, he's through a gap to the halfway. Cut down by Davidson. Good chase by Davidson. Parramatta very dangerous on the first and last tackles. But I'm not so sure that the first tackle is the one that you should be doing it on today. But the records show that they've got a clean slate in that area. Nobody can criticise them. Taylor was on the end of a forward pass for sure. That's what the crowd groaned at. Stewart, Lydiard, a juggle. Then he's lost it with the impact of the tackle. Referee says knock backwards. Play on. Hunt. There's that big step by Hunt. Into an opening. A fend off. Inside to Mosley. He'll score. Referee's gone down. He's up. Mosley's in. Try to Parramatta. 4-0 under the sticks. And the smile of Mike Mosley tells it all. That big step off that right foot from Neil Hunt. And then a fend that got rid of a would-be tackle. And Mosley said, I'm here. And I know what it's like to score tries. Look at that man, greasing his way towards the dead ball line. Billy Anderson.
Everyone says watch his step, but no one can stop him, and he does it again there with a right foot step inside. Steve Roach was able to push off the cover, picked up Mosley, who's forever backing up inside, and that's the sign of a good hooker, and over he goes under the post for the first try of the match.
And look at that slide. Michael Mosley, he's been called up in the last few matches for Parramatta. He certainly has done the job, Pete Sterling.
Well, really, Ray, I think he's probably been the form player in the whole club throughout the year, and he certainly earned the first grade spot the last couple of weeks.
Steve Ella. Talking of Mosley, he's a humble little fellow. We gave him the award last week, $500, which isn't bad cash. And before we gave him the award, the first thing he said, how did the C grade go with that junior side I come from? Well, he didn't care. Converted by Ella. Parramatta leading Balmain 6-0. critical 10 minutes in front of half-time. Lydiard. Mark Laurie. Parramatta's 22 line. Stewart. Now, he's got 5 metres of ground there from a dummy half run. Taylor. These two sides played, of course, earlier this year in a trial at Cessnock, a tremendously successful promotion up at Cessnock. Parramatta won at 16-0. In fact, I saw a comment from John Money where he believes Parramatta hasn't played that well since. Henry Tartner, president up there these days. Doing a good job too, the former St George man. Ellis kick. Lawson, he's lost it. He's still lost it. There's a chance on here. Neil Hunt. No, the touch judge has got his flag up. Touch judge has got his flag up. Those blue and gold flags will go down very quickly.
And Lawson can thank his lucky stars that he did put his foot into touch. It was a touch and go situation, and if he hadn't have put his foot into touch, that was a certain try to Neil Hunt.
Did any of you people at home catch the face of Neil Hunt when he turned around? He's still not very happy about it. Ball back to number 14. That's David Lydiard. 5 minutes out from the break. Players on the Balmain 22 line. Mark Laurie. Mosley holding it back and going for a scamper. Don't tell me he's thinking of 2. Mares spinning off. Penalty. There was a punch went in. I think it's David Brooks. Yes. Brooks said, who, me? Giles O'Donnell said, yes, you. Come in. So the penalty couldn't be any easier. That's what he got him for. Ella's kick right in front of the sticks. Grandstands packed to capacity. In fact, one of the grandstands will probably be the recipient of this. Latcham Robinson. Steve Ella. He's got it. Flags up. And Parramatta enlarge their lead to 8-0. We had 30 minutes of nothing, and now 8-0 to Parramatta. What's the story on Cronin, Peter Sterling? Can you tell us when he's back?
Yes, I think that he's looking to be back within 5 or 7 weeks. The plaster is off, and he seems to be getting along very well at the moment. Lydiard.
It's as if Balmain's been told to kick the ball to Lydiard. I think they've put it straight to him every time.
Well, I'm surprised at the amount of times they've kicked a very great swing. I thought I'd be looking to kick it well away from his area.
Mares.
It is a bit of a problem, isn't it, kicking to the Parramatta side, because Lydiard, Hunt and Growth are all players that can bring the ball back to where you kicked it from, so it's important that you do kick to a space and not straight to one of those individuals.
This is Laurie. Pearce. Now Stevie Martin calling play to the left. He sees that Parramatta are lighter on out there, and Hemsley gets a pass to Davidson, but good stiff tackle there by Quinn and by that big prop Mares, who covers a tremendous amount of territory for a front rower. Martin, oh, there's a Balmain player injured. That's David Brooks, who's down at the moment receiving attention. Play almost went over the top of him.
Those two rucks by Balmain were poor play. They moved the ball firstly from the right to the left-hand side of the field and then back again, but they didn't go anywhere. No one ran with the ball. They simply passed it, and you can't do that under these conditions.
Well, what a sensational take that was by Brett Kenny. That ball was fired off the boot of a Balmain player, and it was going like a rocket, and Kenny was able to take it. Brooks is back on his feet. He's okay, David. Mosley. Stewart to the blind. Lane and Roach, the tacklers. The siren about 60 seconds out. Mares, well, he's having trouble with his handling, the big man today, but then again I think most of them have had their name on the error list. It looks like one of those more pointed balls too. Have you had a close look at it? It's one of those narrow things. Martin. Lane. Gee, I'd like to have a tackle counted. Well, get one at half-time too on a couple of these players involved in this match. As the ball popped out the back door, picked up by Stewart. They'll barely have time to do anything with it, Parramatta. Mosley takes the tackle, and here comes the siren. Stewart.
Just look for a little kick and chase here right on half time. No, they haven't got time to put it on, and that's a fairly healthy lead to go into half time at.
8 points to 0 then in favour of Parramatta. The try was scored by Mosley, and we've had a conversion and a penalty kicked by Steve Ella, and 8 points to 0 then. The score at Leichhardt. A break, and then we're coming back for more. So they'll set up their two pivots again, I suppose. No, they've got a wall in field, and Mosley takes it ahead about 10 metres. Taylor, Mosley, Mears I should say, almost coughing it up again. He hung on that time though, Paul. From Stewart across to Taylor, the switch back to the blind where Laurie has put it through the legs, knocked backwards and dived on to be played by Muggleton. Hunt. Mosley taking it to ground on 5. Neil Hunt's the dummy half. Paul Taylor comes in, puts the kick to the wing, occupied by French. They fly. Gee, that's a great take, Gary Jack. That's really one for your family album, Gary. A beauty. And striking prematurely by one of the Parramatta markers, and a penalty goes to the Tigers. Look at this man, right up above the pack. He needed that one too, Gary, I would suggest. He had an opportunity just a few minutes ago to do something similar, but he had more pressure on him, I suppose, and he put it down. Whittaker takes the tap. French. Hit by Mayers and Stewart. Next Wednesday night, we've got a super match. Manly and Canterbury. Roach. Head-on tackle by Mosley. Schofield. Just joined us. 8-0 Parramatta.
Well, that was one of the most predictable sets of 6 tackles I've ever seen from a football team. Balmain have got to vary their play by use of a kicking game, a long and a short kicking game, and they're not doing that. They're building it up for 5, then driving it downfield. They've got to vary their kicking if they're going to keep this Parramatta defence on its toes.
Neil Hunt, dummy half for him is David Lydia. Ten metres on the Parramatta side of the halfway line. And this ground is becoming increasingly heavier as it gets minced up by the 26 players running around on it in the third match of the day. John Muggleton. Don Duffy. One thing's for sure, he wasn't going anywhere. Whittaker and Hemsley saw to that. Mayers gets it into the open space. It's going over to French on the wing there. Mayers has put them all on side, being the kicker. Martin, Gary Jack. Martin again. Long ball, cutout ball to Hemsley, and then a beaut tackle by Taylor. That's out. No, it's got the... it's just got inside the line, this kick from the Balmain player, Lane. And that's how close it was. Fed by Taylor. The crowd dispute the feed. The referee did well, though. He let it go and saw that Balmain won the scrum against the feed. It's out to Martin. And Davidson putting it down behind him.
Once again, a lot of passing, but no running.
10 minutes gone. Second half, Brooks. Laurie again, right around the bootlaces. He's made some tremendously professional tackles in this match today.
Bad sight there for Parramatta fans is Paul Taylor limping. This is one play that we certainly don't want to injure.
Roach, a good handoff down to Lane. 5 tackles gone against Balmain now. They'll obviously be putting it up. Here's Martin. Lydiard scampered back. Kenny's underneath it with Hunt. There's a call, is there? Hunt just stood his ground and took it. Kenny. Seems to be a bit of a problem in those scrums, Peter. A couple of times we've seen in the second half scrums won against the feed.
Yes, I think a couple of scrums Balmain have really shown the pack size that they have over Parramatta. We've lost some purely on weight, and I think we have to bind a little bit tighter.
It's got a huge weight advantage, Pete, haven't they? In the front row, fellas like Hemsley and Roach, you just can't match them.
Well, they have, but you have to compensate that by being tighter than they do, and I don't think we are at this stage.
Balmain with the ball right on halfway. Bridge sweeping it left through Martin to Gary Jack, and he's tackled about 5 metres into Parramatta's territory. 7 won the scrums to Balmain, and 3 of those against the feed. Penalty to Balmain. French. Second ball on the field, referee calling timeout.
This is the first opportunity really in the second half that Balmain have had to be in attacking position, so let's see what they can do with it from here.
It's out with Steve Martin, a short ball to Gary Jack, and he's tackled right on the 22 line. Here's Roach.
Well, that's more like it. Roach really hit that ball up hard, and now we can see that he's forced the penalty for Parramatta being inside the 5.
Well, Balmain have got to take the 2 points that's there for them to snatch.
It's not an easy kick under these conditions either. Normally it'd be a throw-over goal there, but Brooks has got this one about almost 20 metres out, say, and 10 metres to the side of the posts.
David Brooks, 9 goals he's kicked, 14 he's missed. Gee, I didn't think his success rate was down that low.
Taylor's still limping in the background. Peter Sterling drew our attention to it earlier, and he doesn't look good, Taylor. He's a tough little customer. I'll be surprised if he's even thinking about coming off the field.
David Brooks. Good kick. Balmain getting their first points on the board, putting themselves within 6 points of the Parramatta side. 15 minutes gone, second half. Putting it down to Gary Jack. Mosley, first man up, making the tackle together with Quinn. Schofield.
Now, I'm surprised that Balmain are doing this the tough way. Lydiard's been playing fairly flat behind the line, and here comes the clearing kick now. But that could have happened a tackle or two earlier with a good chase by Balmain, and then pin Parramatta down in their own half. It wasn't that a fantastic take by Lydiard. That was Bobby Simpson in the slips.
It's not the first time he's done it. Peter Sterling is never carrying a bright complexion, but he went a pale shade of white as he dived for that one. Here's Kenny getting it to Ella. Ella's into an opening. Growth comes on the inside. Look at the big man travelling. Still going. Still going. Growth. He might slide over. No, he's a metre short.
What a fantastic run by Eric Growth. No one else would have been able to fight his way through probably 5 or 6 tacklers and 20 metres of Balmain defence.
And here it is with Taylor. In fact, I can recall here at Leichhardt running into that very same corner last year. He scored one of his big tries. It's with Mosley. He puts it up. That's going to be too deep. Gary Jack was obliged to put it over the dead ball line, I feel. And it's going to be a line dropout. Well, Gary, he had a real problem here. He knew he had it covered, but then he realised that he had to put it over the dead ball line himself, and it's a line dropout. Well, Kenny, Ella, Growth, they have plunged Parramatta deep into the Balmain territory. And here's Duffy, an awful line dropout. And that really was probably a complimentary word to use to describe it. To the blind side goes, or to the open side goes Muggleton, almost losing it, and then pitchforked.
Parramatta putting a lot of pressure on in this opening minutes of the second half because they've been controlling the ball.
Mosley, he could see the line, but he couldn't get the arms and the ball over it. Dummy half, Mares, he's almost hit the upright. And played back to Mosley, to Ella, a little grub kick through. And Ella, I'm just looking to see whether he is claiming interference. In fact, he is. He's pointing at a couple of Balmain players. It went unchecked. But it's another line dropout for the Tigers.
Gary Jack will be hoping for a better result from this one.
It is. Much, much better. The crowd.
But look who he's kicked it to.
And here comes Eric. The Parramatta crowd stands and roars as he bulldogs his way into them. Stewart. 22 metres out. Mosley, Mares, lapping up this opportunity to take a head-on confrontation with two of the other young front-row hopefuls. Quinn, good ball. Muggleton went over the top of them like Moss Trooper. He's tackled about 8 metres out from the Balmain line. Mosley's the dummy half, swept to Taylor, on to Quinn, and then to Laurie to Ella. And Ella's 15 out. Laurie's the dummy half. Back to Taylor. Up goes the bomb. Duffy might be offside. Hunt's going up there. It's down to Kenny. He sweeps it away. Muggleton dives, but it's no try. No try. He's ruled a forward pass, I do believe, from Kenny to Muggleton. If that's what he has ruled, this has been a magnificent job by the referee, let me tell you, because he had plenty of things on his plate. He's got about 8 or 9 things to check in 4/10 of a second or 4 seconds, and then he had to finally rule on that pass. No try, and the pressure on Balmain is for the moment off. Wayne Pearce to the 10-metre line.
Now's the time for them to kick. Lydiard's very flat behind the line.
Davidson just outside the 22. Hemsley, a dummy half run. Mosley low, and he got a ball down, but it's knocked on by the Tigers. Almost. Scrum win to the Eels. Kenny's gone to the blind. There's a gap there for Ella. Ella's inside the 22. They've got him. Gross coming up. Ella. Oh, he's done it all himself. That's Ella Magic. The zip man is in. Well, I thought they had him for sure. In fact, I think the replay will show at least four Balmain players thought they had Stevie Ella. Kenny got around to the blind, and then Ella, he had a cordon around him. The winger was coming at him. Players were coming from all over the place. Yes, four of them had a shot at him, and not one of them got a clean shot in.
Ella's a class player under any conditions, but particularly under wet conditions because of this, and that's his ability to keep his balance no matter what the field's like. We can see here he shrugs off tackle after tackle. Imagine this is a particularly wet field, but he still doesn't lose his feet. He kept his feet again there, pushed through tackle after tackle to score that very good try for Parramatta.
Steve Ella. That was a good try. Now, Don Duffy is coming from the field as Steve Ella lines up the kick. And 16 looks like Pengilly as the replacement. He's doing a couple of stretches there. Neil Pengilly came from Corindai, from the Grasshoppers up there, the local club. Steve Ella 10 metres in from touch and 22 out. Attempting conversion of his own try. Low, no goal. And so Parramatta are leading Balmain with 20 minutes to go by 10 points.
I think even though Stephen was a surprise omission from the city side on the weekend, that was just to show the selectors that he's still around.
Peter Sterling getting a plug-in for a teammate. We often have a selector or two watch the game from the Channel 10 commentary box. So it won't go unnoticed, I'm sure. Here's Lydiard taking it out to the 22 line. Mosley playing it to Stewart.
We've seen very good safety first football by Parramatta in this second half. I'm sure that Coach John Maney at half-time has told them they've just got to secure the ball and make their tackles, and they're going to get away with this, and that's exactly what they've done. And they've still been able to come up with that try through the individual brilliance of their players, notably Steve Ella, but they're playing good disciplined football at this stage, Parra.
Steve Ella kicking and finding touch. 28 metres away from the Balmain line. Quinn has knocked on. Paul Taylor's still got his face in the mud, and he's at the moment quite prepared to leave it there. Mosley getting back into the scrum. Probably cast a glance at Quinn and said, "What are you doing out there?" Now he's lost the scrum, and it's out with Bridge. Centre field, 35 metres out from the line. His own line. Brooks has lost it. There's a scrap on the ground, and Parramatta diving on it through Quinn, the 5'8". He's played well today, this little fellow who's in the side indirectly, replacing his former travelling companion Michael Cronin. Mark Laurie's lost it. Hemsley's off the ground, getting it away to Roach. Roach away to Lane. Lane to Gary Jack, and Steve Ella's there to make the tackle together with Paul Taylor. But they're not. He's not. Oh, now he's lost it, has he? Now Giles O'Donnell's gone in. He's said play on. And it's out to Lane. Over to Martin. Now to Schofield. That man is Wayne Pearce. He sees an opening, goes through it. Davidson's with him on the outside. He's left it behind him. And I do think that Lawson may have... Now he's going to rule a Parramatta ball, and now he's giving the penalty to the Blue and Golds. He's ruled that Mayers actually had the ball and then had it taken off him by Lawson. And I'm pretty sure that replay proves the referee's decision was right. Hunt, 11,500 here today, watching the clash of the Tigers and the Eels. Muggleton, National Panasonic Cup match Wednesday, Manly Canterbury, should be a beauty. You're watching the NEC big game, with Quinn turning a ball nicely away to Lydiard. And then it was David Brooks who made the tackle. Mosley, the run around is on with Stewart. It's with Mosley. And this eager beaver takes it down just outside the 22. Last tackle for the Eels. It'll be bombed here by Muggleton. And it's very, very deep. They'll have to go through fast to put pressure on. Gary Jack taken a metre into the ground, into the field of play. Mayers hit him very hard, and Mayers is hurt. Running back without feeling in his left arm. Lane trying to get out of dummy half, but Taylor's there with Mosley. That's Neil Whittaker. Although I can assure you that it wouldn't be hard to miscall a player or two here today. Some of them I don't think their mothers would recognise. Brooks. Ella. 10 metres into Balmain's area. Hunt. Parramatta in the fortunate position where they now can play what Billy calls slow motion football. 15 minutes of the match to go. Let's update the score. Parramatta 12, Balmain 2. NEC big game. Stewart. Hunt. Pengilly.
This would be a big day for him. Well, he's certainly not on a televised game. I don't know if he's played first grade before, but what a great feeling from a young fellow to the country to go on in Parramatta, the Premier's colours, in a game such as this, and they're leading.
Lawson. Bridge. Outside 22. Look at Mears going after him. With Taylor, they combine to pull him down. That's how fast this youngster is, the number 11 for the Eels. Hemsley. The good stretch to the left is required for Balmain, and there's got to be an overlap. They're doing it too. Wayne Pearce. Oh, they've come back inside. Schofield. Roach looks now in vain for support, but all they had to do was push the ball to the left extreme. Martin. Through Jack. Brooks. Bridge. Little chip ahead, and Taylor's cleaned it up on the 22 line. Lydiard has Kenny with him. Lydiard taking it away himself.
I don't know if Parramatta are prepared to try it at this stage, but really Balmain are sitting ducks for a chip kick over the top. Jack's back, something like 60 metres from his defensive line in front of him, and you know, Paul Taylor's very good at the chip kick. He's got good chasers there in players like Lydiard and so on. If he's prepared to try it, he can get a result.
Pengilly getting a reception to Leichhardt and to first grade from Kerry Hemsley. Ella. There's the chip by Ella. He might do the regather. He's kept it on the boot for Eric Growth to come in and take it out of the mud, and that's the turnover.
Well, Ella was certainly prepared to try it, and he almost got a result there. If he'd have been able to get his hands free and pop up the pass or the ball to Eric Growth, it was plain sailing.
Hemsley. Stewart around the legs, and they've gone for... they tried to squeeze a ball out that at this stage of the match they've got to, Balmain. This is Mark Laurie. Tackler was French. Mosley turning it back up the middle for Mayers. A hit and spin affair, and it's on the ground, picked up by Steve Roach, who was standing back minding his own business. That's Mike Schofield. Lane, Whittaker, Jack, Bridge, Lawson. Tackle made by Laurie and cleaned up by Kenny. On the halfway line, Steve Martin, Gary Jack. Jack trying to get between them, and a three-man Parramatta tackle. Muggleton, Pengilly and Taylor. Roach. Lane. Well, there's a man that I must admit I didn't think I'd be seeing coming on in first grade too many more times in my broadcasting career. Ken Hay. Goodness, it seems like he's been around for donkey's years. But he came back to Parramatta and said, I'd like to trial with you people, and he got graded, and here he is, warming up to come on in first grade. Good luck to him. Former Magpie. And of course, am I right in saying the nephew of the great Vic Hay? Son, isn't it? Yes, I'm sorry. Gary Bridge. Good work by Bridge, but now he's lost it. Kenny's come up with it. And then Pearce has put him to ground. Or Whittaker, would you believe? Hunt. Pengilly groggily getting back into the Parramatta attack line. He's out there at the moment, but I don't think he realises that he is. Mayers did well.
I think that's something Coach Mona would be very happy with, the amount of loose ball the Parra blokes have been able to come up with. It's as good as winning a scrum, especially in these conditions.
Quinn. Just looking at Pengilly, he's wandering around behind the ruck. Quite dazed. French. Lights on, but nobody home. Davidson. Penalty to Balmain. He's talking to Muggleton and telling him to keep them down. Well, there's Ken Hay going on in jumper 21. An example of a man who persisted and is reaping the rewards this afternoon at Balmain's Leichhardt Oval. John Muggleton off for Parramatta. That roar from the crowd is the ground announcer giving over scores, and that one is the one between the Saints and the Eagles. I don't have to tell you that St George are leading at this time. Martin and Lane doing some fancy stuff, and Pearce, Martin, Roach, Schofield. My goodness, that was a fancy move. The one that Balmain just put on. Martin. 5 gone for the Tigers. Jack's kick is going to be covered by Ella. And he's been put to ground by Bridge. Kenny. Mosley. Tackle by Davidson. 7 or 8 minutes to go. Mears getting outside the 22 line. He's put plenty of ball down today, Paul, in the first half, but by Jove, he's played strongly. Mosley. Now he's got Davidson telling him the same as he told Muggleton about 60 seconds ago. Keep them down. Steve Ella taking the kick for line. On the halfway, played by Neil Hunt. Mears. Scrum just on the Parramatta side of halfway. Penalty. He's got the half for taking it out of the scrum. That's the indication from referee O'Donnell, and a differential goes to Parramatta. See the half getting into the scrum, and at this stage with the scoreline 12-2 and 5 minutes to go, but obviously the halfback for Balmain is prepared to try anything. Failing to find touch, and it's played over there by Jack. This is French. Hemsley. Lane through Martin. Bridge, a sitting duck for Quinn. Roach. Look of determination on his face as he takes it up, but Pengilly takes him low. Martin. Oh, Davidson was running free and not really in the play, but he should have at least had his eyes on the ball.
Parramatta have got a chance out here to the right-hand side. I don't know if they'll settle for a win 12-2 or they'll look for another try, but they've certainly got extras on that side of the field.
Mears. Mosley. There's 2 or 3 very tired boys out there amongst the big men. Hunt. 5 tackles gone for the Parramatta side. Mears sweeping it back for Steve Ella to set himself for a drop goal. He's hit the upright, has come back. Mosley's got the ball, but it's a penalty to Balmain. Balmain a penalty.
Another reminder to the children, you are not to come over the fence at full time. There are boys sitting on the fence behind the goalpost. Right back.
Mosley wasn't very far in front of Steve.
Come on, boys, right back over.
If it had been touched by a Balmain player, it'd have been okay.
That's the point, though. It wasn't.
Doesn't get very happy when he scores tries either, does he?
No, he doesn't show any joy at all. Would like to thank Peter Sterling today for joining us in the commentary box. One of the rare occasions that he's out injured, touch wood. But our thanks to Pete for joining us this afternoon, and of course wishing him well with the ripsides that are coming up just about every weekend from now on. Ball being played by Steve Roach. This is Kerry Hemsley. That is Wayne Pearce, tackled on the 22. Kenny missing at first go, getting it the second. We'll get some close-ups of some faces for you when the boys come from the field. There's certainly some sights out there. They'll be heading straight for the showers just to get the mud out of their eyes for a start. And that'll be a long job. Lydiard plays it. Stewart. Nothing flash from Ken Stewart, but rarely makes a mistake. Quinn. Flurry. Paul Taylor's come off for Parramatta. Captain courageous. Off with that ankle. Mara has gone on, although I'm not sure that it's the ankle with Taylor. It's probably a reward from Money to his stand-in skipper and halfback for services rendered. He's done plenty of work out there, Peter, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a fine game, but I think that's expected of him, whatever position he plays in.
Gary Jack getting caught in goal.
Well, you don't see that very often. Balmain attempted a short line drop out to come back with possession. I don't know that's going to help them at this stage, but it certainly made the Parramatta players happy. They're on the second tackle now, and they're 5 metres out from the Balmain line.
Stewart playing it. Hunt. Quinn has left it behind. Mears can't pick it up. The referee has ordered the knock-on and the scrum about 10 metres away from the Balmain line. Those forwards came out of there in what looked a dangerous manner, but the penalty's been given to Parramatta against Balmain for collapsing. Kenny has now finally taken over officially as captain. Quite a bit of pandemonium in the Parramatta dressing room before this match as to who in fact was captain, and eventually they said, we've got to toss the coin now. And Kenny, I think, was to be the captain, but he hadn't arrived at the ground. So Taylor, who had, was told to go and toss and put the captain's hat on. Kenny arrived and said, you're kidding, I missed out by 5 minutes being captain. And there's the siren. It's all over. This match at Leichhardt Oval, won by Parramatta over Balmain by 12 points to 2. For the Eels, their tries by Mike Mosley and Steve Ella. Ella kicked 2 goals, and for Balmain, just that penalty goal kicked by David Brooks. As the players file from a very muddy Leichhardt Oval, you can see that a lot of them have been doing it tough out there. Maybe not so much Eric. There's Wayne Pearce just exchanging a joke with him. The face of David Brooks, as we take you from here to a commercial and then back with the announcement of the man of the match.